This is your star witness, someone who is an obvious partisan against Donald Trump and who has publicly said so. You couldn't find a law professor who agreed that you should impeach Trump that didn't have this piece of tape out there, who wasn't an obvious Trump hater. Like, that's not just her not liking Trump's policies. That's her, like, being over the top. I had to cross the street from Trump's hotel, which is fine for her to have that feeling. Again, you can feel those things, whatever. But the Democrats, this is your star witness. This is their legal scholar that they're going to present in front of the country. They don't have to convince the Democrats. They have to convince the independents and some Republicans to go along with them. That's the point of these hearings. You don't start a hearing if you don't already know all the evidence, which they do. And so to highlight their evidence, they bring in a obvious partisan who has publicly said shitty things about not only Donald Trump, but Republicans and conservatives in general.
The Intelligence Committee heard testimony about how it isn't just our national interest in protecting our own elections. It's not just our national interest in making sure that the Ukraine remains strong and on the front lines so they fight the Russians there and we don't have to fight them here. But it's also our national interest in promoting democracy worldwide. And if we look hypocritical about this, if we look like we're asking other countries to interfere in our election, if we look like we're asking other countries to engage in criminal investigations of our president's political opponents, then we're not doing our job of promoting our national interest in being that shining city on a hill.
Okay, now let me just remind you why she's there. She's there as a law professor, constitutional scholar, who's there to tell us about impeachment and the ins and outs of impeachment constitutionally. That's what she's there for. And what she just did was opine on foreign policy that she likes against foreign policy she dislikes. She says we have to give aid to Ukraine or else we're going to have to fight Russia here in the United States. This is their expert. Have you seen anyone else do this dissection of her stupid commentary? Law professor who's saying she knows what's in our national interests. You don't know. You do not know that. That's your opinion. And by the way, you weren't brought into Congress to give your opinion on that, on foreign policy. You were there to talk about constitutional rationale for impeachment. Talking out of her ass about foreign policy, pretending that this impeachment is over a foreign policy squabble. Which is what it is, actually. Because Trump dared to go against the intelligence community. Trump dared to put a hold on military aid to Ukraine. That's what this is about. This isn't hard to do, what I'm doing. Apparently, it's too hard for MSNBC, CNN, ABC, at New York Times, Washington Post. This is too hard for them to do. You know who can do this? Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson. That's right. They're doing better coverage on the impeachment than anybody else in mainstream news. Isn't that something? Tucker Carlson doing better coverage of Syria than anybody else in mainstream news. Better coverage of Venezuela than anybody else in mainstream. Why? And you guys aren't embarrassed that guys like me and Tucker Carlson are beating you every day. You're not, that doesn't embarrass you? You should be. Of course it doesn't embarrass you because you're paid $30,000 a day to not be embarrassed. Here's what I saw watching Don Lemon talk about the impeachment. He brought on those three people who were pro-impeachment. He showed them, and he didn't show this guy. He didn't show the fourth guy who dissented. Even though this guy's a regular on CNN and MSNBC, they're so corrupt they can't offer people anything to vote for, so they have to do show trials like this.